Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's the Cryptid Huntress. I'm Jessica Jones. And boy, do we have another fantastic show for you guys today. Today is all about boots on the ground, Bigfoot and Dogman field research. And who better to talk about his boots on the ground field research than our good friend, Mr. Long Island Bigfoot himself, Mr. Mike Colantonio. So we are going to have him up in just a minute. He has had some fantastic, I say fantastic a lot, just so y'all know, some incredible Dogman encounters and, of course, Bigfoot encounters too. And he has had up close and personal contact, actually. So we're going to get a good description of exactly what he saw, how they moved, and more today. So you guys get ready. We have another great show, and I cannot wait to get this show started. So thank you guys so much for being here today. Man, we had a fantastic show on Monday with Erin Elizabeth. I hope you guys will go back and watch that in case you missed it. She talked about her memories of the secret space program. Oh, I see her in the chat. What's up, Erin? She's here. And also the potential of her working with the immortal Saint Germain, the immortal vampire, and more. Okay. And she is of a pretty famous bloodline, okay, with Admiral Byrd. So if you guys go back and check that out, you will not regret it. It's a fantastic show. And I can't wait to have Erin back on the show in the future. So if you guys would like to follow along with all of my shows, you guys please go over to my website. That's thecryptidhuntress.com. You can find all of my shows over there. They're all archived. And I have a list of events. The calendar is there on my website if you scroll down to the bottom. And I have all of my social media links as well. If you guys would like to come and hang out with me at any of these conferences that I'm doing, including the 2025 Georgia Bigfoot Conference. Is going to be up in Demarest, Georgia this year. And so you guys come see me. It starts at 9 a.m. on that Saturday. And we do have a meet and greet the night before. You might recognize some of these people. We got Matthew Delph and David Pardue are on there. And of course, there's George Lunsford and Tim Dills and Robert Effler and Stacy Brown Jr. up there and more. Dr. John Stamey is down there. There's a caricature of him on the bottom. Y'all might not have recognized him in that little picture, but that's Dr. John Stamey. And I did a great show with him last night over on, it's called Scary Cast. And I think it'll air on iHeartRadio tomorrow night. We talked about remote viewing and Bigfoot. Okay, so if you guys want to hear that, go look up Scary Cast on iHeartRadio and you will find our episode tomorrow night over there. Okay, also, I did a show with Aquarius Rising Africa yesterday as well. If you guys want to go back and watch that, we talked about the Teasel Princess and the Star Forts. So wonderful hanging out with Shanti once again. And I do that once a month, by the way, a live show every first Tuesday of each month. Okay, and so let's see. If you guys would like to support my work, I have a Patreon. It's the Cryptid Huntress over there, and also a shop called War Woman Good. So thank you guys for all your support. It means the world to me. And get your tickets to the Full Disclosure Now conference in Florida in July. Okay. All right. Let's get to our show today because I cannot wait to talk to Mike about his Dogman experiences. He's not only had one Dogman in the vicinity, but there were two Dogmen in what we're going to be talking about today. And I don't know. I'm not going to say this is the first. Okay. Because there's been a time where I actually was up in the field with Robbie Raines and we got surrounded by a bunch of something that we couldn't see. And we have suspicions that it was Dogmen, or it was either very aggressive Bigfoots. Okay. So we just don't know. We saw their shadows and their outlines, but we couldn't tell what they were. So let's get to it. So Long Island Bigfoot Mike, y'all, he's been here plenty of times. He's a good friend of mine. We did some boots on the ground field research up in Montauk, New York, Long Island, and he has been doing boots on the ground field research for some time and has some great encounters that he's going to talk about today. Please help me welcome to the show, Mr. Long Island Bigfoot himself. What's up, Mike?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, thank you for being here today. I love hanging out with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's keep it light and breezy, right? Like,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, it's really fun to hang out with fellow boots on the ground field researchers in the cryptid community, right?
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. I appreciate the kind build up. That was nice. Yeah, I've been here so much. I feel like we could just jump into the show and just start going, but it's.
I know there's no agenda, right? We don't. Whenever I've got you coming on, we have no agenda. We have a rough outline of some things to talk about. So yeah, what are you doing? You're in an amazing cabin or something. I am so jealous. I wish I was up in the woods myself right now.
Yeah, I can't complain. It's trial by fire, right? Like these places, I try them all out, and I mean, even the day I got here, there was no snow on the island, and when I got way up here, there was snow everywhere. This place is like the driveway's really long, and it was just covered in ice. And anyway, today it's good. Today it's nice.
So you're up in upstate New York right now, right? Like way tippy top of New York.
Well, it's really New York's huge. I mean, it's huge. I'm in the Catskills still, so I'm not at the tippy top. But the Adirondacks are above this, and then there's like a show on Netflix called like Escape with Dan Mora, and you could get an idea of like upstate New York by that, because it's like there's signs that say Buffalo and Montreal, and Montreal's like a couple hundred miles closer than parts of New York. So it's an interesting shape, and it's.
Yeah. Did you say you're in the Catskills or the Adirondacks?
This is considered the Catskills still.
Catskills. Oh, so like Rip Van Winkle area where they've got the little people, right?
I've done work with Charles too over there, and that area is actually called Catskill, New York. But no, I'm pretty far from there. Right now, I'm in Big Indian Wilderness, Sundown State Forest, and Mohonk Mountain, Minnewaska. Like I'm kind of in the middle of all that on private land. So.
Oh, very nice. I did have one of those remote viewing targets that Barry gave me that was of the Catskill crone. And that was that wooden artifact. It was like somebody had carved a little witch, and it had nails in its eyes. And I'm going to say those dummies took it home with them, right? Those two guys that found it. And it led to a lot of bad luck. So be careful. Don't pick up any weird objects, okay? Please don't.
I do it all the time. Against our better knowledge, right? And I do it all the time.
Yeah, I know.
Like a weird little antique shop or like freaky little store in the middle of nowhere. Like I can't help myself.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, just be careful getting around those caves and stuff, because we know there's a lot of weird stuff, a lot of dangerous creatures that could be out there. But what am I saying? I know who I'm talking to right now. I almost forgot. You are the solo boots on the ground guy up there.
I'm the worst. I'm the worst template. I'm the template for what you should not do. Like exactly. I preach safety and all that stuff, and then. But yeah, no, like what I'm doing now, like for the past couple of days, I can't cover much ground because the snow and not knowing the terrain or whatever, and like you don't know what's down there. And I'm literally I was walking in a creek at one point and did not know it was a creek under the snow until I fell through at one point. But it's funny because I didn't get hurt. But yeah, do not go out there alone and do this kind of stuff. It is not. I don't recommend it.
No, it is. Yeah, it can be very dangerous. It can. Well, hopefully you've got your phone with you, and it can GPS spot you out there. I don't know though. Yeah.
You know,
Mike.
Goes. You know how that goes. Like you never know who's tracking you or what you're doing, or yeah. You try to keep you try to keep some things private and quiet, and you know it either works or it doesn't. You know, and like you know your area. As long as we've known each other, I don't know anything about the area you research. Nothing. Mm-hmm. You know, so, I mean, more power to you.
You're talking about the area that I research?
Yeah, the meadow. Yeah, you keep it safe. You know, whatever.
We do.
Yeah,
we do. We do. Well, there is a documentary coming out soon. I don't know if it's the end of this month, but Tony Merkel came out there with Joel Thomas, and I guess I'll be having Joel on the show here pretty soon. But they came out to the meadow and hung out with some of my team, and some of the team did a little documentary with them. I stayed in the background on that one. Okay, but they may be doing something on it that's going to be coming out here pretty soon, so people will be able to get a good glimpse of what the meadow is out there, and that's cool. It's still an undisclosed location though, and we don't tell people where it's at, and we even have rules. You know, like my son is not to go out into the meadow at night. Okay, like if he goes camping with me, he's gonna have to stay at base camp with an adult or two. Yeah, so because it is very dangerous. We never go out there by ourselves. Now, I'm not going to say I've never gone, hiking by myself with my dog or something. That's I could say that's a little different. But I'm always armed too. So, and I am not scared to protect myself.
No, you shouldn't be, and I will say this when, I have a lot more Bigfoot, I guess, experience than I do anything else, but when I go out to areas where I know it's Sasquatch, I guess, dominant, I don't feel the need to carry as much, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then when I go to other spots, I get a little more like I'm not so much worried about offending what's out there. I'm worried about protecting myself.
Yeah. Well, and you also come from a military background. You've spent lots of time. You've spent at least a year or so over in the Middle East, and so I guess I remember you telling me that it helps you to get out in the woods, just like it does me. I really am able to recharge my batteries when I'm out in the woods, and there's just a calming effect being out there. Even though we're out there chasing monsters, there's still something to it that really it makes me feel good to be out there.
So I have a military past, which there's a certain healing and then a certain adrenaline I get to that. Then I'm an addict too. So like, I've been in recovery for a long time. There's a certain adrenaline aspect to it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's almost like going out there and the risk involved and all that stuff. It's kind of exciting, right? And while people are like, aren't you scared? Oh yeah. No, don't get me wrong. It's hard to mask that. It's hard because you have to, and this because there's so many things out there that will not only just feed off you, like they will hone in on your fear. Like they will come in, they will pick you out of, your energy out of a lineup of, in that whole forest, and they will feed off that and really, take advantage of it. And it'll send you into a spiral in a sense, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, they will feed off your fear. And so that is really another way that I can kind of gauge too sometimes when people are talking about Dogman experiences, because there's people out there that, I don't know, you hear a story and I know there's a lot of, I hate to say this, but sometimes I feel like there's some plants out there that'll say something, like to kind of muddy the waters a little bit on some of these real things that have happened, especially when it comes to like the LBL, let's just say, right? Sure. And there's the family that got hurt, they got mauled to death out there, allegedly. I do believe that happened. I've remote viewed it as a target. And then, years later, somebody shows up and says, well, I was there, and I was hiding. I was like, well, these things, okay, I'm not saying it didn't happen. I didn't see a fifth person in the data when I was remote viewing, but also they would have smelled that fear. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think there had been any chance for another person to have been in that environment without perishing as well. No. That's my opinion. Okay.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah. You don't survive that. And Yeah, I don't see that happening. 99 out of 100, but
Yeah.
Yeah, like, oh, that's what I was gonna say. When we were in Montauk, you went out with me at night with James, I think, and you had something happen to you, and I knew there was a possibility of it, but I didn't want to plant it in anybody's head, right? I just knew how wacky that area could be and how it can kind of go either way. But 9 out of 10 people I know would have booked out of there, or spiraled and let that stuff take over them. But the way you fought through it, I thought was really cool. I was like, oh shit, okay, yeah, this ain't her first rodeo.
I don't run, man. I do not run. And when I say I'm not scared, I don't have no fear out there. I really don't. But that was a interesting experience. And what he's referring to for the audience who's watching and listening is we were in Montauk about a little over a year ago, and I got to hang out with Mike. And one evening we were there for almost a week. Okay, and we were hanging out at Camp Hero and doing some boots on the ground work out there. And we were with a few of the survivors of the Montauk program, and James Rink was with us from Super Soldier Talk on YouTube, if you guys know James. And one night, Mike and James and I went to Council Rock, and so I did not know the history. I knew the history from what you told me about it, but we went there at night just to see if there was any kind of activity up there. And lo and behold, man, it's right beside the Montauk Manor, if you guys are familiar with that. And it has a very Shalluminati vibe, let's just say. Okay? Yeah. And I felt like I was going to get kidnapped the entire time I was there. I really did.
I know.
I felt like that. Yeah.
Well, I got lost in the catacomb of the underbrush about a month or two ago. I was, all those trees or whatever. Because there was one point where I heard you guys yelling for me, and I was like, I'm right here, But you've seen Long Island and like those pine barrens. It's just like it's just an entanglement. It's insane.
Yeah. Lots of deer out there, though. Lots of deer. The deer are not scared of humans for the most part. And so there's a very lush environment for cryptids out there, for Dogmen and for Bigfoots. And I gotta say, like, you got a perfect recipe to have a Bigfoot encounter or a Dogman encounter out there, Mike.
It's pretty, and it's pretty concentrated. You know what I mean? And I don't know how to say. It's easier. It's not like I don't have to necessarily go too far. They're just right up against us in a sense, and having like the e-bike and stuff helps too, because if there's something like, I have to go now, if I have the dirt bike to come up here with, but like, in the mountains, but on the island, it's not really, it doesn't really benefit me. So the e-bike is good because I could shoot in like, a 5-10 mile hike or whatever I have to do, and just, kind of go straight in, and, it's great. It's awesome.
Oh yeah. Well, most of the time you're on foot when you're doing a lot of these investigations. We see, especially the ones that you put online and the ones that are on your YouTube channel. A lot of times you're on foot, and I mean, you might ride your e-bike out there to get there, but it can be pretty dangerous what you're doing out there. It's dangerous what we were doing at Council Rock, and when we got out there, we were going down some trails and stuff, and I could not breathe. I felt like I was being suffocated.
Right.
And so I felt like everything was spinning around me. I just felt like I had a whole group of people standing around me, and I was just hyperventilating a little bit because I felt like claustrophobic, even though we were out on top of a mountaintop, basically.
Yeah, it's a huge bluff, and there's really open air and open sky and wind, and like, I mean, it's really amazing to experience a feeling of suffocation in a spot like that. Yeah, it's interesting. But when and like you said, the history there, anyone who feels like that, looking it up, like the Montauk Manor or Council Rock in that section, you can. And I think some of the footage I have from that night is on the Council Rock mini doc on my channel. But like you said, the history that's there. Imagine all the stuff that we don't even know about. Like that doesn't make it.
to the history books. Yeah. There's a lot of history that we are not privy to, and we're finding that history is not what we're told. Now, we do have a really interesting question here from Ron Ivy Forest. Okay, what's the most terrifying cryptid paranormal encounter that you have? And I'm wondering if it's going to be linked to this Dogman encounter we're about to talk about.
Probably, yeah. There's a close neck and neck that I could answer this either way, but being that the topic that we're on today, we'll go with that one. Sure.
Okay.
So I'm in this area, and it's I don't give away this location either, but it's similar to a Brookhaven Labs or a Plum Island or whatever, but it's not as known, right? I have my suspicions that it's a cryptid spot, right? Now, let's just move on because I don't want to.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah.
Spot is in maybe there could be, and I'm just putting it out there, like a cryptid spot, like there could be some kind of underground facility, a lab, something that the public's not privy to, where they are making chimeras, or there's some sort of genetic experimentation going on potentially.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So like Plum Island is animals, right? They do animal testing. We know Montauk was human testing. Brookhaven Labs, we still have no idea what it is. It used to be a base as well. It used to be Fort something. I can't remember right now. But same as Montauk was a base, right? An Air Force base, and it was kept secret. And they said it was to from enemies, right? They wanted it to look like a fishing village from above, which is just ridiculous because there's a giant radar tower, all sorts of crap, right? So anyway, long story short, we don't know what goes on below Brookhaven. There's this huge, you could look into all these places if you'd like. I mean, there's so much stuff right here. I call it the Long Island Triangle because if you look at Plum Island and Montauk and Brookhaven Labs, it's pretty much a triangle with the Pine Barrens all in the middle. But anyway, this place is elsewhere, and that's where I had my experience, and it was not fun at all. I wasn't necessarily researching Dogmen yet at all. I didn't really want. I hadn't heard good things about them. I didn't really, I didn't really want to go find these things necessarily. It's up for debate what I did to piss them off. I don't know if they just were feeding necessarily off my fear. Maybe that night I was slow rolling into night investigations too. I was pretty new at being out in the dark and at night and whatever the case was. I hear these, I believe this is how it went down. I was hearing these dogs in the distance, like it sounded like a pack of dogs. Now, we don't have coyote or wolves, at least nothing regular. Sometimes they swim across from Connecticut, they feed, they go back, blah, 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 right? People will be surprised at how much these coyotes and stuff swim, right? But it sounded like they were in the distance, but at the same time, it was loud to me. But it was almost like it was focused in just to me, right? Like it was almost like a tunnel, like a directed sound weapon, if you will. But it was a pack of dogs. It wasn't like it was, I don't know, but I could hear them almost like you would hear a dog pound at night, right? Like, and it was just, I could tell it was getting closer. So I'm getting out of Dodge now. And I'm making my way to this huge open field. And there's this, if I go to the left, I have to cross this big open field. And that's the way I go to my vehicle. But I felt like that was like, it was really dark and I felt very exposed. And then there was this like tight trail, right, of all this underbrush that I can't really go through at all. The deer go under it all the time and stuff. They can maneuver through it easily. But there's a path and I can see it. There's this like street light of this like long road from these buildings that we won't talk about up front. But this is way, way, way in the back. And so there's this long road with just a couple of streetlights on, but I'm trying to make my way to that light because I know it feels safe to me. So I'm beelining for it. And as I'm doing it, I'm looking over my shoulder. I'm really like getting a little I'm panting, I'm getting frantic, I'm getting a little worked up. And I kind of worried about obviously the sound that's coming in because that's the only thing that's bothering me at this point is the dogs, barking or whatever.
Okay.
So as I get down, good.
Sorry, I'm good. I lost my audio, y'all. So I'm sorry. I was listening. I lost my. Never mind me, y'all. Never mind me.
Rolling. But anyway, so as I got near the light, I started to feel safe and have this false sense of security. And that is when I noticed, obviously, out of my peripheral, I have stupid, crazy peripheral, what the hell do they call it? It's like hyper awareness. I don't remember what it's called. Hypervigilance. Like it's from, I guess, being in Afghanistan. Any little tiny difference in the ground could be an ID, and like you had to remember all these things, and like so you were always like scanning and paying attention to everything, and it's something I could never turn off. But anyway, out of the side, I see this thing coming out of that underbrush, and it comes like it comes up and comes towards me. And I know this is gonna sound stupid, but it looks like the damn. Do you remember that damn book with the girl and the Red Riding Hood?
Little Red Riding Hood, the grandma.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Hi, what big teeth you have.
Yeah. Yeah. It was pretty damn similar to that, but a lot more. I guess dabbling some creepypasta, right? But this is literally like a nightmare come true. And this thing charges at me, and I don't remember seeing its legs, but it kind of bound forward at me, right? Like it was almost like it got to me in a couple, 2-3 leaps.
Leaps. I love that you said leaps because that's what I keep hearing is they jump. They're like bouncy, right? Like almost like Tigger from Winnie the Pooh.
Now, mind you, I did not see its feet. Like I wasn't looking at its feet, but that's the way I would say it moved, right? And I start bagging back, right? Like I'm backpedaling probably like a cartoon, like, like speed feet. And I was just talking to Vic about this too. I feel so ignorant looking back, but I pulled my blade, and I don't think I've pulled my blade in like 5 years, like not even to like my fingernails, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But looking back, when I look at what was in front of me, it made no sense. It was like Peter Pan pulling out that little dagger against Captain Hook's sword, right?
It was like a toothpick.
Yes. Yeah. It's like so. There was nothing that was gonna do, right? But it's how I reacted. So I'm just gonna tell you what happened. And as I'm doing that, I'm backpedaling still and trying to make my way to that like road and it's long both ways now, and it's just trees on both sides, and you can't see the end of either way. But that's where I'm trying to get still. So as that happens, the second one comes and bounds forward, and it almost like leaped over its shoulder to get close to me, right? And like it had, that one had its damn mouth open, and like I don't remember any sound. I really don't remember. I don't recall hearing them growl or
no sound at all.
Maybe there was. I just don't recall it. You know what I mean? It's not in my memory bank at all. So I don't know why that is. I never even noticed that till just now. But it was like a silent encounter, maybe.
Well, there's probably noise. I bet the only thing you could hear was your heartbeat.
Probably, yeah. Like I was probably in like survival mode, shock. Who knows? I don't even know what it's considered, scientifically. But and this other one jumps over and gets, and now I'm really bagging, and I start running to the road.
Right.
And, yeah.
Yeah.
And they retreat backwards into the underbrush and disappear. Just like that. Like it was almost like time reversed. Like they were just in there. And I was like, what the right? Like, so I'm bugging the F out, right? And I'm like, I don't know what to do. I know where my truck is. I look to the left. All there is this. Now I see these like, street lights every 50 feet or whatever it is in each direction. And I'm like, this is it. I'm stuck here by myself. Like, the reality is I have to go that way and get to my truck. These things knew it. I think they did. Because as I'm going, I'm telling you, so this this stuff is almost like, it's the same trees as that we had in Montauk, those same kinds of trees.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see, like, so the tops are very thick, but it hangs very low. And there's like this little space underneath where you can see, but it's very intertwined. So as I'm going down to try and get it, I'm watching these eyes. These eyes are illuminated watching me. And as one would close, another one would open next to it. And then it was like they would bound next to each other, and then they would open up, and then that one would close, and it was like they were following me, like, tactically. Very, very tactically. They never took their eyes off me. Like, one always was watching me while the other moved. You know what I mean?
That sounds very, it's almost, I don't want to say organized. Okay. Not organized, but they were working in tandem is what it sounded like.
Yeah. And there might have been more than two. Like, there might have been more than two. It was pretty sketchy. Like, when you have those kinds of like traumatic incidents, you try to remember, detail. And sometimes when I hear people recall things and they have like detailed, like down to like, like minute, like really, really detailed, I'm like, wow, because like, I don't know, when I get scared, first thing I do is like, look away or like shut my, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I kind of react and try to change it, right? It's like you try to alter that state as quickly as you can. Maybe that's a reaction of mine. I don't know. But.
Well, I know in my experience, it's almost difficult to understand what you're experiencing when it first happens. It's like we're out there expecting something to happen, hoping something will happen, hoping we see something strange. But then when it happens, it's like you have to take a moment. It's just human nature to take a moment to figure out what the heck is happening. And you get in that fight or flight. It's just human nature. You can't help it. You go into fight or flight or freeze. A lot of people freeze when stuff like that happens.
Well, my first Sasquatch encounter, right? Like the one I had, the flesh and blood up and down 10 foot, whatever, give or take. I dropped straight to the ground, which was fight or flight. But I threw myself down. And like you said, I was out there expecting, hoping, looking, but you can't prep for that. You know what I mean? There's no muscle memory, right? Another whatever, if you want a military thing, right? Like you practice, and that's like I tell people all the time, if you want to film a Bigfoot, right, don't wait till you see a Bigfoot. Like practice filming, like if you see deer or you see a rabbit, film them. And when they start running through the woods and shit, you will see how hard it is to track that shit.
Yeah.
You want to film a UFO, practice filming planes, practice filming birds flying around, because you don't want to wait till you see it, because then, you know what I mean? So at this point, that camera is like an extension of me, and I kind of hold it here. And I just, as I'm doing what I'm doing, I just turn it with my body so that as I'm going, I'm trying to just kind of like animate everything, just talk through everything I'm doing and thinking. But even still,
yeah, it's hard to capture stuff. I mean, I don't really film a whole lot when I'm out in the woods. I never film anything. Occasionally, when I take a hike with my kid, I'll film some, walking a trail or something occasionally. And when I'm doing promos for my shows and stuff, maybe, I'll take the camera out there. But I usually I keep the cameras away from the woods for the most part, or like video cameras, which I think I'm gonna start trying taking my GoPro out there, I think, and seeing if I can't catch some stuff. But for all the years that I've done this, I've just kind of stayed away from it because we have more activity. I personally felt like I'd have more activity, and I guess I have had more activity by not doing that. But the place that I keep going to, I have one place that I go to weekly, all the time, and they are definitely letting me know they're out there. And by they, I think it's Bigfoot. I'm assuming it's Bigfoot. We have definitely caught them on thermals and stuff in this area, and I think it's Bigfoot. It could be anything, but they do clink rocks and let me know they're out there whenever I'm leaving, usually.
Yeah, but, I mean, the Sasquatch, I at least in my experience, that's all I could talk for. And mind you, I'm just a drop in the ocean, so if it's different for you, I apologize, but I can only tell you what I know. And the difference between my experience with the Dogman and Bigfoot is Dogmen troll the shit out of you, whether you know it or not. It's like it's like a saltwater croc. They're there. They're watching you. They're waiting for that kill on the zebra. It's just like whether, you know what I mean? It's like you don't really know until they want you to know that they're there, you know? And and then Bigfoot's like more like curious and like, you know, like a product of the environment, you know what I'm saying? Like I call them like multi-elementals. Like they just, to me, they feel like they're part of the forest. They belong there. Like don't try to separate them from the trees, from the grass, from the deer, from, you know, like it's just in there. The Dogman to me seems like there's a predator, like kind of doing his thing. And I do think that they're too damn smart to just whack us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Think they know.
They want to play with us.
Yeah, and you know what they know what that brings too, right? Like, I mean, I even think killer whales know what it brings to kill a human. You know, I do. I think they know that that's not a wise choice. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we have a couple of questions from a couple of people in the chat. Mike's asking, did you hear them run away? And then we had another question that said, did you hear them when they were leaping over each other too? Did they make do you remember any noise from that? I think you said you didn't, but
yeah, oddly enough, I don't really recall sound. I don't know. I don't really know why I'm not recalling sound. I'm a big sound guy. I love like tilting my ear to the, you know, to the trees and kind of really just like honing in on everything. That particular experience, I don't really remember sound. I do think that I heard the nestling of, you know, the underbrush and the trees and stuff, but again, I could just be it's not like a solid memory, and I don't want to AI my experience, you know what I mean, kind of fill with fluff. So yeah, to give a full honest answer, I don't remember sound.
I totally get it. Hey, Dan in the UK, he says, sounds like they run you off. I wonder if they were chipped. Well, that would definitely go back to the idea that maybe they came from the lab or some sort of a facility close by. A lot of times, I do believe dogmen do have some sort of a connection to facilities. Maybe some of them are lab grown, let's just say, and maybe they're using some sort of super soldier program.
Well, we can't always say necessarily we're dealing with the same exact thing right now. I mean, even the same person in the same woods, right? You can't say for sure what you're experiencing is the same thing because there's so many things out there. You know, even with Sasquatch, like people just want to just take Bigfoot and add something to the front of it, like sheep squatch or this, that, and maybe it's a whole different something. You know what I mean? And then maybe the Dogman that I experience and the Dogman you experience, maybe one is, you know, a human made hybrid. Maybe there's ones that are naturally born, right? Maybe there are werewolves, and I'm saying maybe with a, you know, more of a probably.
Yeah.
There's probably a whole lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. I see a few people in the chat today who have had some Dogman experiences of their own, including Adolf. and Javier from Cryptid 559's in here, and of course we got William Nighthawk. Lots of other guys too. Brown Dwarf's in here. There's several people who've had Dogman experiences, who have even been on the show before. Dan says they sound like guards, and they could be, absolutely, especially since there's two of them. And I wanted to point out that, oh my gosh, I just noticed we had some super stickers in here. First of all, let me say thank you real quick. Super Saiyan Yet, thank you so much for being here and for that. I love you too. That is so sweet. Thank you for that super sticker and for being here. And in Midwest Night Watchers, Jane and Garrel have gifted 5 Cryptid Hunters memberships as well. So thank you all so much. That's so sweet. I did a video yesterday, so you guys definitely get in and check that out. Garrel, speaking of Garrel had asked, doesn't Brookhaven have a particle accelerator? That's like
and that's one. Yeah, and they have an atomizer separator, all sorts of shit that there's no reason, right?
There's no reason.
And yeah, but
there's a reason.
Even the UFO that was shot down in 1992, it was said to have been shot down. It didn't crash in South Haven State Park, right? And a lot of people who witnessed it said they saw something go up from Brookhaven Labs. And that's when it came down. Now, I was, 8 years old, so I don't remember it fully. I remember there was a shit show on the news, because like the news was the news back then, right? Like you had to watch the news.
Yeah, it was mostly good, true news. I'm not saying good news, but it's mostly true. Probably more than it is now.
The military, and different agencies like Brookhaven Labs, they closed in on that place fast and shut it down. So we don't really know. But it said that, again, this is just hearsay, but that little chip that I don't even know what it is, but it goes in our phones, our computers. I forget what it's called, but it goes in TVs, everything. Remember how big the back of TVs and computers used to be and everything? And all of a sudden now
it's heavy. Yeah.
Yeah. Everything was, now all of a sudden everything's flat. We don't need anything. You know what I mean? Flat screens.
And it's feather light. Yeah.
I forget what it's called, but they reported that they stole it off of that crash. But
really?
again, I don't. That guy's locked up for reasons he shouldn't be, so I don't want to even go there.
Whoa. So. Yes, Dan says the schmotzies at Brookhaven.
Yeah.
Could be. It's the schmotzy scientist. And Moondog Davis says they use those labs to bring this crap into our reality. And there are these large the hadron colliders, the ion colliders. I talk about the one at Oak Ridge Labs. That's no secret. There's one there. They work with CERN, the Alice Project, which stands for something, a large ion collider or something. Okay.
Plum Island's trying to move to Manhattan, Kansas. So, I mean, that might be an area to look at too in the future, because if they're trying to go there must be something already going on in Manhattan, Kansas. I didn't. When it said it was moving to Manhattan, I was like, what? How are they going to go to the city? But it was not Manhattan, New York, it was Manhattan, Kansas. But
well, I mean, there could be a hadron collider in Georgia. I mean, they're all over the place, and we say there's for no reason, but they got a reason. We're just not privy to that either. A lot of things, us normal, average Americans over here, we don't know. We're not supposed to know what's going on, and I don't know nothing about nothing. But I have had a lot of people tell me that they know that there are these colliders all over the place, and they could be ripping through space and time and opening portals to other dimensions. And we have that movie Stranger Things, that Netflix series, and that was based off of the Montauk Project, where you and I were up there hanging out with people who were survivors of the Montauk Project.
I remember you said something. When we got into the middle of town, you were like, "Why isn't there like a Demogorgon on the lawn?" And like, why? They hide it. They hide the fact that that was.
It's a good question, right? It's like, why is there no Stranger Things memorial out here? Like, what's going on? Why don't they benefit off of it?
They hide the fact that show is based on Montauk, because that's one of Long Island's like money
secrets.
Well, that too, but it's a money. It's like a tourist attraction for like city folk, and even people who live on the island. It's just it's a place that people flock to. I think in the 2 months they get 30,000 residents, and it's a tiny town. And then you go out in winter, and it's a ghost town. Nobody.
Well, it's a pretty, I'm going to say, like, rich town. Okay. And I mean, like, rich in a lot of ways, but you got to have some money to have a home there. I mean, we were basically staying like in the Hamptons when we were out there in that nice house. So, there's money there, old money. Okay. And stuff. And they have a vested interest in kind of keeping all that quiet. I mean, I want to say it was kind of a stain in the history of that place, because I mean, people are being kidnapped and put into these programs, and it is just not pretty. Okay, so I understand that they want to kind of cover it up.
Long Island's very big on being known for certain things, and it's known for real estate, and they want everything. They want to keep their property value up, right, and shit like that. So, that would definitely put a stain on that market, right? And it's a big thing that we call it bougie. I don't know what else to call it. There's a lot of bougie people here, so nobody wants to hear, oh, Palm Island does this. How did like, no way, that's right there next to that beautiful beach and that beautiful sunset and that, right? Like, how could that be? Brookhaven Land's right there next to your house doing this and this. No, how everyone would rather turn a blind eye than look at what's right in front of them.
That's right. You know what? Every time I have ticks, I get ticks a lot, okay, going out in the woods. And every time I think of ticks, whenever I see a tick, I think of Long Island in Montauk. Because there are a lot of ticks out there.
Yeah, Lyme disease. Now, when the Fire Island is on the southern tip, the southern shore of Long Island has another island that goes across the bottom of it called Fire Island, and there's some space in between, and the Lyme disease got down there so bad that it killed. I mean, you should have seen the poor deer. It was really horrible to watch. They covered in them. They couldn't shake them. They couldn't get them off, and like. It was bad, but they weaponized ticks.
Everything is weaponized. Come on, I just did that show on dolphins being weaponized, and that is just absolutely wild. Everything is weaponized. Ticks, they can give you that disease where you can't eat meat anymore.
I mean, it shouldn't be hard to weaponize dolphins or something like that, or like a chimpanzee, because when you think about it, we're like 99.9% dolphin. Like, our DNA matches theirs, like, almost to perfectly. But yeah, I mean, anyway.
Oh yeah. Not Daryl. This is William. William says our whole world is a Stranger Things episode every day. Yeah, it is. It definitely is. And things are just getting stranger every day by the minute. And Alea, thank you so much for gifting that membership to one lucky member of the audience today. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Yeah. Okay. So
fun because, sorry. Yeah, but it's fun because when I watch it, we get to go, oh, look, that's da 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 da. Oh, that's da 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 da. Like, we know, we can see where it is that they're trying to portray, but it's covered up. It's done well. It's done really well. But,
yeah. Well, we talk about all these Dogman sightings and all these cryptid sightings, and I know William has been on the show and talked about from the Native American perspective. A lot of these lands have very rich Native American history, and whether you look at it as a blessing or a curse, some of these cryptids have been summoned there to protect the land at all costs. And I see our good friend Mr. Michael Roser's in here. What's up, Dark Hour Paranormal? He was with us at Montauk as well. So hey, thank you for being here. And but it's not only these hadron colliders. We've got potentially opening portals and things like that, but we've also got Dogman out in Missouri. I did a remote viewing target for D.A. Roberts a while back, and there was a Dogman. It looked like a Dogman in one of the videos that he shot at this place called Table Rock. And I was remote viewed that, and it was a guard, like a watcher for some kind of facility underground there. So, or maybe it was just a watcher for it was summoned there by somebody. So there's so many different ways that they're showing up here.
What if there's something simple like that, right? Like simple as a Stonehenge, right? Like Table Rock, right? Let's just say that there's a huge hole in the ground where there's everything down there and nobody can move it, not even human equipment, and except for these superhuman strength dogmen or whatever, right? And they use them to open the doors, to open the whatever, right? Like there's no way to know for sure, right? And I'm not saying that's the situation there, but I come across things all the time where I'm like, I wonder what would happen if I could move that big rock, right? What's behind that? Yeah, it's really, man, I was gonna go somewhere else with that. I'm pissed that I lost track of it, but anyway.
Oh my gosh, freaky! I forgot about that. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm just laughing at this comment.
The Native American part is very important, and you said whether it's a gift or a curse or whatever, it's very true. And then there was also before them as well. Now, the first thing I do though when I go to a new area, if I'm going to study that spot, I go and talk to the local natives, or I try to. At least I tell them my intentions, and I want to know, out of respect, is there any off limits areas that you guys don't mind me knowing about? And like Woodstock, for instance, they told me do not go in this whole region, like, because even all the way dating back to when we first, came to be, we did not even hunt down in those areas because of the bad energy and the bad, the spirits or whatever you want to say, right? I don't want to put
probably the little people and stuff too.
That's
the cursed lands. Yeah,
it's all the story. I want to talk about weaponized. Those, the little people, they shoot. They know every poisonous plant and all that shit. Excuse my mouth. They.
I bet they do.
They use little stuff, and a lot of people will say, "Oh, I got zapped in the woods," but who's to say you didn't? When you felt out, you thought you got hit by a thorn, right? You thought you hit a thorn, or you thought whatever. Maybe we got hit by a little dart, right? Who knows? With a little bit of poison in it, just enough to make you get a little dizzy and get the hell out of there,
or to fall asleep for 80 years like Rip Van Winkle.
Poor guy. Yeah.
Yeah, that story happened right there by Charles Andrews, who's been on the show. He lived right across from there. Where,
he does.
The Rip Van Winkle. I guess it's the mountain, right? Is it a mountain right there?
Yes, and Rip Rock. He pointed out Rip Rock to me, which is apparently where he fell asleep. Yeah, we did some, exploration, if you will. But I noticed stuff right off the bat on his property, and then he said to me, "This is where I give them eggs." And I said, "Oh shit, okay." So it all pretty much panned out. But as far as little people, I didn't see any. I wouldn't even know what to look for. You know what I mean? I've never dove into that aspect of it.
Yeah, I guess you look for little tiny footprints. I don't know. My team, Bob actually found a little tiny human footprint one day out in one of our research areas. A little tiny, like a toddler-sized footprint. One print. That was it. One little print down by a creek. So it could have been a little person. I don't know. It could have been a kid. It could have been a baby Bigfoot, maybe.
I kind of like laugh, but it's more of like a nervous laugh because I know the reality of it, right? Like it's so damn possible. I do not push anything off the table anymore. Wacky comes my way, and I'm like, I believe that more than I believe the weather guy. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know. Anything is possible at this point. I've seen just about everything myself too. And I mean, this is that and you guys have giants there too. I know I'd mentioned before we went live, I was like, we can always talk about giants too, but many giants found giant skeletons found buried up in New York in the mounds. Some of them even had horns on their heads.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
when you look at that.
Sure. I mean, when you look back at the Vikings and stuff, their helmets with the horns on them and stuff. But anyway, yeah, who was it? Bigfoot Anon. He used to be able to like rattle off all the names of like like franchises and teams and this and that were named after like giants or cryptids or this or that, right? And all these
New
things
York
that
Giants.
sure, right, New York Giants, right? It's almost like slaps you in the face with a reality that we don't pay attention to. But
You didn't put 2 and 2 together. That was my problem. I never put 2 and 2 together. It's like, well, it's just a team name, you know, the New York Giants, the San Francisco Giants. Well, they probably had giants there. Okay.
Seattle Supersonics literally had a Sasquatch jumping around the stands as a mascot. And like I never noticed, right?
That is so weird that you brought them up, because I ended up on an elevator one day with half the team in the elevator and hung out. I remember it was Rashad Lewis, I think was his name. Yeah, I ended up talking to those guys for a while. They were awesome.
I can't believe you fit
yeah.
Elevator.
Yeah. That was wild. That was when I was in San Antonio. They were doing I guess playoff or something.
San Antonio is right there in the Riverwalk. They all stay in that hotel, and that elevator. That's the way to. That literally, that was how they told me. Like when I was in San Antonio, they said, "This is the way to see the NBA players is to patrol this elevator."
Oh my God! I actually was not even paying attention. I was there for a conference that I was a part of when I worked in government and stuff, and I just hopped in an elevator, not paying any attention, and I just kind of looked up, and I was like, "Good God, I'm in an elevator with a bunch of giants." I had no idea there was a basketball game there or anything, and I joked around. I said, "Wow, you guys are tall. Do y'all play basketball?" And they were like, they were pointing their shirts, and I was like, "Oh, hey!" I was like, "Well, I'm Jessica Jones. It's nice to meet you guys."
That's awesome.
So they told me, yeah, it was wild, but yeah, I've had some strange encounters with a lot of tall people in my life and tall Bigfoots. But anyways, let's go back to the Dogman real quick, okay? Because this was not your only encounter. Now, did this Dogman encounter happen on Long Island, or were you somewhere else, like in upstate New York, when that happened?
I was on the island. I've never encountered Dogmen upstate, but I think I laid eyes on them and stuff like that. But it wasn't really an encounter. The other encounter I had was at I can actually name this spot because I named it with Vic. It was Kings Park Psych Center, and when you had on what's old buddy from the city's name? I forget.
I don't know.
Your friend, the rapper. What the?
You're talking about Dinko D. Leaders of the New School. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God, I can't believe I dropped the ball on that one. LTS. Yeah. So
he's in Long Island. Long Island represent.
He was talking about Pilgrim State and all that stuff, which is so. These are all psychiatric centers and big properties, like kind of on the middle of the island. And it's kind of halfway between the city and halfway to Montauk, like the midway point kind of. This is also one of the places where they used to take kids. If you've watched Stranger Things, you know that Jane, 11, was taken from her mom from a psych ward, and they treated crap kind of similar to whatever, like Terminator, right? Same thing when they were trying to take John Connor or whatever, like they put her in the crazy ward. Who the hell is going to listen to somebody on a psych ward, right? And if they get too much steam, whatever, they just put them, hit them with something and knock them out, whatever. So that's where they were taking some of the kids from for Montauk. This is now a closed down hospital. So and then it was for many years when I was young, we used to go there and sneak in, and there's no trespassing, nobody allowed there. They have their own police, and so we would spot the flashlights from a mile away, so we would never have a long time to be in there. But as kids, teenagers, we used to like scare each other who could go in the buildings the longest, blah blah blah. So so we always, back in the day, you hear bump in the night, it's either right? It's a haunting, or it's, as far as we would go for something physical, we would say it was a homeless person in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
My mind never went cryptid, never. Now it does. Looking back, I'm like, okay, but this is where I was at the Kings Park Hospital, and they've turned it into, during the day, you can openly walk. Now, you can't go in the buildings. You can only kind of just like walk the paved roads and stuff and whatever, but there's all these patches of woods and stuff. And there's this one that was like, it just dipped down. It was like a bowl, I guess, right? And it was like a big circular area. And instead of going around it, I didn't even know if I could go around it. I cut through it, and I could see this big building over there that I wanted to get to. So I cut through it, and I came back up the other side, and I went up there. And I'm filming this building and all that good stuff, right? And as I pan back towards, I know that I see something over there, and this thing. So I know exactly the lay of the land. I know that it goes down and comes back up. So now I'm on the flat part, and something's standing up looking at me it's standing on the side of that hill, basically. So I don't know exactly how tall it is, but I know it's big. I know it's really big. And there's a fire hydrant kind of in my frame too. So I have a really good idea of how big this thing is. And it's big. And it literally slowly slinks back down. And as I'm trying to kind of play dumb, like I don't notice it, but it didn't make itself aware to me. I don't think it knew that I saw it, because it was just kind of like watching. If you had, let's say you went to you're driving down the block and you get to a corner fence. You know how those dogs follow you on the fence and then go this way too, and then they follow you to the other fence. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of what this thing did, but in the tree line, and it followed me, and I could kind of gauge it here and there, right? So, but that was my other really, really good sighting of one, really good clear on.
Wow, it was watching you, and it didn't come after you to hurt you or anything, which is pretty fantastic.
I went right past it at some point because I went down in there. You know what I mean? And it could have clipped me if it wanted to, and nobody would have been the wiser. Nobody.
Well, okay, so we've got Javier in the chat today. Hey, Javier, with Cryptid 559. You guys go subscribe over to Cryptid 559. And Javier's been on the show. He said, I would like to try a dog whistle when out in the field. Oh, my gosh. What do you think about that? Would you ever do that? And what kind of results do you think you might get from that, Mike?
I did it. My brother Jimbo out in California, he challenged me to do it. He said, try this. Never crossed my mind. But I was always open for suggestions, right? But I'm like, oh, okay. But I had never had a problem getting Sasquatch encounters, right? But I'm like, shit, I'll do it, And man, I was getting some weird activity. I don't know what to chalk it up to, but it was different. It was definitely different. So maybe it was the beginning of a Dogman phase. I don't know, but it's definitely. I would try it. Who knows what'll hear it?
Yeah, well. I mean, if you're into that kind of thing, I mean, some people even take those, is it called an Aztec death whistle? Some kind of a death whistle out there. Some people, I know there's guys that have bragged about taking them out the LBL and stuff. And I don't know. It seems like it could stir something up. I'm just saying. It could stir something up. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But if you're careful what you're asking for, okay?
Like I'll go to the local shops and stuff if there's like a Native American shop or something. I'll go and buy like those little wood whistles, like the ones that are like made out of like old turtle shells or whatever, or wood whittled, or even like a local drum made out of like local leather and this and that, whatever. Like, and what can't hurt, $10-20, whatever. And you go out on the side of a mountain ridge and play it and stuff. And it doesn't have to necessarily be an encounter or whatever, but that energy that comes back, you know what I mean? It's something magical. It really is.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I'm reading these comments. There's people in here who have heard your rake encounter too. I mean, when you're out in the woods as much as you are, Mike, you're going to experience a lot of stuff, as have I. Okay, a lot of things that most people would not be paying attention to. Nobody would even see it. Most people probably would not even have noticed that slinky figure out there in the distance that you saw with that other Dogman encounter that you had. But these rakes, we had a rappel crawler is what I like to call them.
Yeah.
When did you have this pill crawler experience? I think we've talked about it before.
Yeah, we did, and I think I didn't know you didn't know about it
No, I did because we talked about it on the show before. It's been a long time though. It's been a long time.
That's when you asked me earlier. Somebody said, "What's the scariest encounter you had?" And I said, "It's neck and neck." But I'll talk about this for today's sake. It's about 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I don't even know. I try to brush it down, but it was something similar to. I've seen it twice. I've seen the damn thing twice, and we're talking about these old buildings and properties and shit. It was another one of those scenarios, federal land, very, the outskirts, the woods and the outskirts and stuff are just, nobody uses them, nobody bothers with them, whatever. This is actually still active. So I go in, I work the federal side and stuff, and nobody's in there. So it's great, but didn't know this thing goes bump in the night, right? I had only heard about it, seen it. I thought it lurked in sewers, which it's damn near might, because I think this thing was going underground, working tunnels that I don't. I call them sump hoppers. Basically, we have sumps, and they have like tunnels and stuff that go through them, right? And I guess like a sump kind of is like a fenced off area that collects, I don't know, rainwater and trash. I don't even know what the heck they do, but we have them all over the place.
They got a job of some sort, surely. They got to have some kind of purpose. They're just roaming around being creepy. That's their job.
Do you want me to dive into that encounter? Because that shit was like, it's long-winded.
We've got about 5-10 minutes left on the show. Yeah, if we can squeeze it in, I mean, I would love that. I was actually going to bring up the idea of a lot of cryptids, and this is from a lot of reports that we've gotten. They're not just living in these caves. Abandoned buildings are a surefire place to find cryptids. Dogmen, these pale crawlers, Sasquatch even. We talked about the abandoned malls with the reptilians. I did a show on that, and we talked about, I think Barry and Dennis came on the show. We talked about the reptilians being seen in abandoned malls and them being connected to the secret space program too.
I'll go out into the woods that night, but like last night, I thought I heard something walking on the deck outside, and I would not go out there and get out. I thought I heard.
You ain't got no curtains, yeah.
So, let's just say, no, it's just a house full of windows. It's a nightmare. In some senses, but yeah. So but in a haunted house, let's just say you're even somebody who investigates them. If you hear something upstairs or downstairs in the basement or the upstairs, and you hear something even creak or something walk or whatever, are you gonna go look for it? No. So most likely not, right? And then if you do proceed and then something like smashes or slams the door, right? I mean, these cryptids could easily just tuck away in a number. There's literally probably a half a mile away. There's a mansion basically that's just, there's every couple miles up here in upstate, there's an abandoned barn, an abandoned house, whatever. And I look at them and I'm like, I would live in that. You know what I mean? Just hook up the electric and let's get it going. Like some are bad, worse than others, but.
Mm-hmm. If I were you, I would, I'd take some thumbtacks. I'd probably put some material over those windows at night. I'm just saying. I'm kidding. I actually don't mind not having curtains and stuff. I mean, I say that, but when I was a kid, I did have this phobia, kind of those lace curtains that I've talked about before. I didn't like it too much, but yeah, as long as you're up high, and it still can be a little creepy.
Yeah.
Especially if you're by yourself.
Yeah, it's not that bad. I mean,
it's not that bad.
It is.
Just keep lights on outside. Lights off on the inside, lights on the outside. How about that?
Yeah, comfortability by lies, right? That's all right.
Yeah. It's not bad. Well, you're the guy that goes out in the field by himself, boots on the ground.
I know, that's what I'm saying. It's crazy.
You ain't scared.
I would a little bit.
You're not scared.
Fear will keep you alive. I'll tell you that much. Fear will keep you alive. Listen to that little, hair on the back of your neck that says something ain't right.
Yeah. Yeah, and don't stick around if you feel like you need to go. If you're getting that, even the infrasound kind of vibe, sure. and like the energetic brick wall that I talk about, get out of there. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Yeah, even us diehard boots on the ground people will get out of there when we feel we need to.
I used to push on, and now I don't. I'm like, okay, like I've had enough. I've had enough of that pushback where I'm like, okay, I get it now. Yeah, I did it.
Yes. Avina's asking, have you been on Vic's show several times? Yes, he has. He's been on Dogman Encounters and my Bigfoot sighting too, right?
Yeah, the paranormal experience too. And I think I talk about the rake on there too, on his paranormal experience one. It's a little too long to dive into now, but it's and it's emotional. It's friggin' emotional, and I don't want to go there right now, but yeah. I'll dive into it another day.
Yeah, we'll get into it. Well, we did a show on the rake, or what we call it, it's the Pell Crawler, I think. When we called it the rake before, we had people that were complaining that was a creepypasta name. Okay, so we're back to Pell Crawler.
It is, and rake is a creepypasta name, and because what a rake is, I think, is some kind of transformed human, right? And again, this dives into that section where we say, well, maybe it is and maybe it isn't. We don't, what the hell do we know? I could just tell you detail, as much as I know and as much as I saw and as much as I experienced, and we could piece it together from there. But I mean, I don't, who knows? Is it the thing that sits sideways on a freaking sewer? And is it the same thing? There's a video, an old video where the guy's I don't know why the hell he's in a sewer. I don't know if it's CGI or what.
Urban exploring.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. I mean,
I want a sewer though. To go look for that thing, whatever that thing was. They got a great video. I think it was actually in the intro. I had a bunch of weird videos in the intro to my Spaced Out Radio show, and one of them was fake. That one with the little kid that's like out there and he does the little chicken walk, and that little outfit looking like an alien. That was a kid, y'all. That was a kid. That was not an alien. The kid that came out of his house.
There was a Dogman video that I thought was real of because of the way it was doing, and it was a guy. The guy said it was me, and he literally made a side-by-side video of himself in that spot, and he was doing that fast crab walk, like he was walking with his legs and his arms behind. I'm like, I couldn't do that if I tried. You know what I mean? And but why would somebody do that? I don't know, but he did it,
Dan from the UK was asking, are a lot of these cryptids and creatures coming from the underground more now? Are they coming to the surface more often? Are we getting more reports? Now, that can be answered in two different ways, okay? Because it could be that they've always been coming up and we just didn't see them. Or they weren't being documented as much. I mean, everybody today it wasn't until like 20 years ago, 15 years ago, we didn't all have a cell phone, right?
Yeah.
To have in our back pocket all the time.
Or social media to connect us. So
yeah.
The same tool that's helping us further is the same one that backfires against us, right? Because we do have like a say, even I've seen people take my, photograph or my video or whatever, and they'll take it and they'll put a different title to it, and it's totally inaccurate. Like there's somebody even put trail cam footage. Oh, trail cam footage of a Bigfoot or whatever. I'm walking and talking, but they took that part out. You know what I mean? They just took the still frame and said it was a trail cam. whatever. I mean, you could do whatever you want, I guess, these days. I mean, with editing and this and that, right? So the same stuff that connects us and helps us get more of these things out there, right? Because maybe there was just as many encounters back in the day, but there was no way to get it out there.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. We got to take all this into account. And Bigfoot Dwarf says, I don't think that was a kid. We can have a debate on it. I swear. We can have a debate. I swear it had to been that. It was skinny. He looked really skinny too. I think it was the kid. Maybe I need to get that as a remote viewing target. That would be a funny one. Just throw it in with a whole bunch of other targets. One day I hope to remote view that. I will remote view it one day. Okay. We're going to find out if that's a kid or if that was an alien. I think it was a kid. Okay. And we'll take a poll. We'll take a poll on that. That is too funny. Thank you for being here, Bigfoot Dwarf. I appreciate you. But yeah, well, Mike, this has been a great show today. It's a lot of fun. And I appreciate you recounting your encounters with us today. And I know it's not easy to do that because it's pretty traumatic. A lot of these experiences are very traumatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of speed through them sometimes. I don't mean to. It's just like you said, it's traumatic, and I almost don't come up for air until after I'm like, I feel like I'm done.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. And I know you and I, we have hung out in person. We have done some boots on the ground, investigating together. And it was awesome getting to hang out with you and Michael Roser, who's in the chat today. And, James Rink and Arkeem and all of them are up there. And Brian sang. Right. That was a really cool time. And Brian Minnick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope to get up there again sometime within the year or so to come hang out with y'all again and do some more creepy cryptid chasing.
Yeah.
There.
We did this much,
Yeah. It was a little bit. I know, right? Well, Mike.
Will keep you busy,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, I got my hands full down here too right now, and I'm out in the field a good bit, and it's getting to be springtime, so my teams are all going. That's my alarm going off, y'all. I gotta go get my kid. But there's a lot of trips planned and stuff. We got team outings and stuff coming up here, and so I know you and I are both gonna be pretty busy, especially when the weather gets nicer out there before it gets too hot this summer. So Mike, I know you're gonna be busy. And documenting all of your travels on your YouTube channel. Tell the audience where they can find you, please. And don't say War Woman Goods again. I knew you were about to do it. Tell them the real place where to find you.
Well, Bigfoot. I'm bad at emails, but you can email me if you want. I'll probably get back to you in like 6 months. And then whatever. But yeah, I'm on YouTube pretty much.
Yeah, Mike's on YouTube. Every time he's ever been on the show, y'all, he always says, when I say, where can people find you? He says, my jewelry store. That's very sweet. It's good. It's good promotion. I appreciate it. But you deserve all the promotion yourself. And you are putting in some wonderful boots on the ground work and really taking the audience out there with you, which is a treasure. Okay. Because I don't do that. And it's a lot. That's a lot of work.
It's a lot of
cameras and doing lives out there.
It's a lot of work. But it's all right. I'm a disabled veteran. Like I have my own issues. I'm going through them right now. I'm fighting through this, but like I know what it's like to not be able to do certain things. So like if it could help, if one person gets out there vicariously through that, then it's worth it. It's worth it.
Shoot, yeah. I live vicariously through you when I can't get out in the woods. You're out there in the snow, the sleet, the rain, whatever. You're out there in the heat.
If I have a good day, I take it and run with it,
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, we all appreciate it. I know everybody appreciates it big time. And so you guys, please go over to Long Island Bigfoot on YouTube and please subscribe over there and show Mike some support and tune in to all those lives and all the videos that you post over there. So Mike, thank you so much. Do you have any final thoughts on your Dogman experiences or tell the audience how they can be safe out in the woods, or what's a good piece of advice?
Yeah, trust your gut, and then always trust history. Like there's some people call it folklore or whatever. Like, dig into your local history. Like, I never found information about Bigfoot. I didn't know I had to look up the word wild man. There's a lot of there's a lot of paranormal and folklore history through Native American folklore and whatever. There's a lot of cryptid stories in there. Just be safe. Definitely, just yeah, practice safety. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Like they say, live to fight another day, right?
Yeah. Do as I say, not as I do. Okay, y'all. So Mike goes out by himself. Y'all try not to go out by yourselves. And if you do go out by yourselves in the woods, take something where let people know where you're going. Okay.
Yeah,
take a GPS fodder, right?
definitely. Yeah. Even just leave a note, behind. Like leave a note behind, even if you don't want to tell anyone where you're going. Leave a note back, like say, "I am here." So
I have gone here.
If you do go missing, they know where to look for it.
Yes. Or contact your local remote viewer. Okay. And y'all holler at me if there's ever an emergency. Okay. I know. Just send it to me. We'll try to hunt you down. I know the first person I would contact would be the head of my remote viewing team. Okay. So if anything were to happen, not me, I would have my family contact them if something happened to me. Okay. So don't think anybody's getting away with it. Anybody wants to hurt me. I know. I'm just saying. We will find out. We will find you. Okay. So anyways, thank you so much for being here, Mike. Thank you so much for being here. And please come back and hang out with us again very soon. And stay safe out there. Okay.
Yeah. You too.
Okay, thank you. All right, y'all. Everybody have a wonderful day. Thank y'all so much for being here. And I want to thank everybody who was in the audience today. Thank you to all my moderators and Super Cyan Yet. Thank you so much for that super sticker. And Gerald and Alea, thank you so much for gifting all those memberships. Gosh, Gerald and Jane gifted 5 memberships today, and Alea gifted 1. So you guys, thank you to everybody who got the memberships today. Come see me over at the Hunt Club. Mike, you're a member over there. Thank you so much for being a member of the Hunt Club too. The support is really amazing from everybody, and I do appreciate that. And I did have one question I wanted to address. Candace was asking about the Bigfoot conference. Do you purchase tickets separately for the Friday and Saturday? I don't know. Okay. You have to go to the website. It's the GeorgiaBigfootConference.com. And I think it may be 2 separate ones. But I'm so sorry. I don't know positively, but yeah, just go to that website, and I think I do have the picture here. I think it's down at the bottom of this flyer right here. So if you can read it, my eyes are bad. Okay, so but thank you. I hope to see you there, Candace, and thank you so much, you guys, for being here today. I will see you guys again tomorrow night. I may go out on a limb, and we may be discussing a moon target tomorrow night. I know it's terrible. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to do this publicly or not. But there is a crash ship on the moon, and we may be covering that if I can get Barry to come on with me tomorrow night, and something that I had RV'd a long time ago. So I don't know. Fingers crossed. We might do that one, but if not, I will definitely be here tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Come and see me. All right. All right, Mike. You have a wonderful day, and you guys, please stay safe out there. Don't live in fear, though, okay? And always keep your head on a swivel, just like Mike does and myself. All right. Y'all have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.